It was late, just after midnight. When Ethan Cole rolled over in bed and saw her name flashing on his phone, Mia calling, he hesitated. It had been 6 months since their breakup. 6 months of silence, pain, and pretending everything was fine. His hand hovered over the screen, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. But his pride, that stubborn, foolish pride, whispered, asterisk, not tonight, asterisk. The phone stopped ringing, plunging the room back into silence. He let out a long sigh, tossed the phone aside, and told himself he'd call her in the morning. He never got the chance. When Ethan woke up, the pale morning light filtering through his blinds, he saw 3 missed calls and 1 new voicemail. But before he could even listen, his phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from Mia's sister, Anna, for simple words that shattered his world. Ethan, I'm so sorry. Mia's gone. The world froze. The air in his lungs turned to ice. He read the message again, and then a third time, his mind refusing to process it. Gone? What did that even mean? He frantically hit the call button, but it went straight to voicemail. His hands shook as he finally played Mia's last message. Her voice, soft and trembling, filled the silence. Hey, I know it's late, but I couldn't sleep. I've been thinking a lot about us. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. You didn't deserve the way I left things, I guess. I guess I just wanted to hear your voice one last time. Then, nothing but the sound of her quiet sob before the line cut off. Ethan sat there for hours, the phone clutched in his hand, listening to her voice over and over. Each word was a blade, carving itself into his chest. By the time the sun was high in the sky, his pillow was soaked with tears. He drove to her hometown that same day, his eyes hollow, his mind a cruel cinema, replaying every moment they had ever shared. The laughter, the arguments, the late-night drives with the windows down, it all felt like a movie he'd never get to finish watching. At the funeral, he stood at the very back, a ghost in the crowd, watching everything blur through a haze of tears. Mia's mom found him, wrapping him in a tight hug. She whispered into his ear, "She always hoped you'd come back, Ethan." He couldn't breathe. He wanted to scream, to punch the walls, to rewind time, to go back and answer that one single call that could have changed everything. After everyone had left, he found himself sitting by her grave. The sun was setting, painting the sky in the same brilliant orange hues Mia had always loved. "You called me?" he whispered to the cold stone, his voice cracking, and I didn't answer. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, played her voicemail again, just to hear her voice one more time. But the more he listened, the more it hurt. Because in her last words, she wasn't angry. She wasn't bitter. She was just tired. That night, back in his apartment, the lingering scent of her vanilla perfume, the one she always left on his hoodies, was almost unbearable. He sat on the floor, surrounded by old photos and letters. In one picture, they were both laughing on the beach, sunburnt and impossibly happy. In another, they were hugging, eyes closed, as if the world didn't exist beyond that single moment. It was then that the brutal irony hit him. He'd spent months waiting for her to apologize, to call, to break the silence, but when she finally did, he was the one who stayed quiet. Weeks bled into months, but nothing ever felt real again. He went to work. He smiled when people talked to him, but inside, he was an empty shell. Every night became a ritual. He would listen to her voicemail, and every single time, it broke him a little more. He started noticing all the small things she'd left behind, a coffee mug with a chip on the rim, a photo frame on his nightstand, her familiar handwriting on a sticky note stuck to his monitor. Don't forget to smile. One evening, he drove to the hill they used to visit in college. It overlooked the sprawling city lights, their secret place for when life felt too heavy. He sat there alone, the wind whispering through the grass, and finally said the words he never got to say. "I'm sorry, Mia. I should have answered. I should have told you that I still loved you. I never ever stopped." Tears fell silently down his cheeks. And somewhere in that stillness, he felt her presence, not as a ghost, but as a memory wrapping around him, gentle and unbearably sad. Years went by. Ethan never changed his number. He couldn't bring himself to delete her voicemail. Sometimes when the world felt too quiet, he'd play it just to hear the sound of her voice, that small, fragile proof that she was real once. He eventually moved to a new city, started a new job, and tried his best to live again. But he never fell in love the same way. He became the kind of man who listened carefully when people called, who always answered, even when it hurt. Because he knew, better than anyone, the devastating cost of silence. Every year on Mia's birthday, he sent white lilies, her favorite, to her mother's house. One year, her mom called him, her voice soft and trembling with age. "She would have wanted you to forgive yourself, Ethan," she said, "but he never really could." Some nights when the city was quiet and the moonlight poured through his window, he'd still hear that phantom ringtone, the one he didn't answer. And for a fleeting second, he'd forget she was gone. He'd pick up his phone, scroll through old photos, and whisper into the darkness, "I miss you." Then he'd listen to that one voicemail, the one he could never delete, until sleep finally offered him a temporary escape. The world moved on, but a part of Ethan never did. Because the truth is, love doesn't always end with goodbye. Sometimes it ends with a missed call you'll regret for the rest of your life. Never ignore the people who reach out to you. You never know when it might be their last chance. Sometimes a few seconds of pride can cost you a lifetime of peace. Always try to answer with love, because the words left unsaid often become the loudest echoes in your heart. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, please consider liking and subscribing for more content like this. Take care of each other.